Hello, hello, hello. I'm a few minutes early, but I just wanted to make sure that everything was working properly. This is the first time I've done the live on YouTube. So, like I said, I've tested it. I'm just checking to make sure that. Hello. Oh, I'm a few minutes early, but I just wanted to make sure. Hold on. There we go. Okay. It's getting a little feedback. Hi. Okay, great. So, yay. Cool. So I don't have to watch it on YouTube. So everybody just go ahead and I'm 2 minutes early. So for anybody who hops on a little early, thank you, Mara. Okay, cool. I'm loving this eCam. So, all right, just get everything in position. I'm so excited. Hi, Tiffany. All right, so for everybody who's on, like I said, I'm going to give it till 12. So one more minute to start. It is, so I'm in Florida and Mara is as well. Tiffany, where are y'all now? Are you in North Carolina? Check out this hair because it is raining today. So our internet isn't always the greatest. So I told my husband, I'm like, you've got to keep our 3-year-old outside somehow. You're not using any of my bandwidth. Is bandwidth the right word? I'm like, don't be using any of my internet because I'm live streaming and I need you to make sure you're not. So I think he's like got her outside with ice cream, which is awesome. All right, I'm going to give it one more minute. Everybody wants to, I know it's just Mara and Tiffany on right now, but just say where, oh, San Diego. When did you move to San Diego? How did I miss that? Let me know what your business is or your prospective business and where you are tuning in from. That would be great to know. Mara is my VA, and she is really so much more than that, but she's going to be helping me with moderating some of the comments. And I promise not to mention the C word too much. Because I know we're all sick of hearing it. And if you want a good idea, I told my family, like, I was like, can we just do like a family news watch where like we all take shifts and then that way we don't have, hi Anya, that way we don't have to like take the time to like all be on the news all the time. Okay. All right. So everybody just let me know where you're tuning in from, what your business is. So excited. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. It's 12:01. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. If you could just let me know in the comments, you see that okay? Everything okay? I know that this is this isn't like ideal because it's a PDF and not a like a slideshow, but I used Google Slides and then some of my fonts didn't translate over and it was just easier to convert it to a PDF instead of going through and doing like all new fonts and all that again. So, okay. Hi, Miranda. All right, everybody tell what your business is in the comments, please. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So normally, I've done this presentation several times. I've made some tweaks. Normally, it takes about an hour, but I'm going to try to get it done in 45 minutes because that's kind of when people start losing losing interest. So if you want to ask questions, stop me. Feel free. If I don't get to it, we'll get to it at the end, just so you kind of know how this is going to work. So this presentation started out as 3 mistakes and it morphed into 6. Honestly, I could have probably done 10, but for time's sake, we're just going to keep it at 6. And these are all super easy things that you can implement right away that don't take a ton of time. So just so you know who I am, I was actually I'm a corporate dropout. I was in outside sales for 9 years. At one time, I managed a team of 17. I traveled all the time. I was always gone. I lived in hotels. I lived in my car. Got pregnant with my daughter. Morning sickness would have been a treat It was all day sickness. I know a lot of you on here have children, so you understand. So I quit, and my husband, we had terrible timing. My husband deployed when I was 37 weeks pregnant and wasn't allowed to come home for the birth. So anyway, I stayed at home with my daughter for about a year and befriended my chiropractor during that time, Dr. Chrissy Bender in Carlsbad, California. And she was like, hey, do you want to help me with my Instagram? And then the rest is kind of history. I won't bore you with all the details, but I've taken tons and tons of like formal training, but really the most everything I've learned has been just from actually doing it. And you'll see I kind of have a different view of the platform than most. And I don't just take information that I get from like big name marketers and regurgitate it. Like I always test it for myself or for my clients to see if it's actual legitimate information. Like I said, we're right outside of Pensacola, Florida in Gulf Breeze. I have a 3-year-old. My husband's a Marine pilot. So first mistake. So I know mindset is not sexy and a lot of people hate. If you're like me, anytime I watch a training or somebody starts something with mindset, I like roll my eyes because I'm like, no, just give me the tangible tactical tips. But I guarantee you this will probably be just from what I've heard in the past, this is like the biggest takeaway for a lot of people. So I want to start with mindset, even though it's not sexy. So mistake number 1, thinking Instagram is like it was circa 2017 or 2016 or whatever, insert year, even 2018. And here's the deal. Instagram is not what it was even 6 months ago. Automation is gone. When I say automation is gone, all right, I need you to let me know in the comments, have you come across, I know you have you come across an Instagram profile that has seemingly average at best content and they have like 40,000 followers or 100,000 followers. And you're like, what the heck? I have great content and I don't have, I have 200 followers. Well, here's the deal. It used to be all the rage, honestly, up until, like probably even 6 months ago. It used to be all the rage to have automated software that would go follow a bunch of people in one day. It would literally follow up to like 1,000 people a day for you. And then you could set the interval for how long and say 2 days later, it would go unfollow anybody who didn't follow you back or whatever, or unfollow all of those people. And it would do that over and over and over again until your followers got super inflated super fast. Or people would actually just purchase followers. Like literally you can go purchase followers, which is crazy. Let me tell you why that is a horrible idea. And luckily I think you can still buy followers. I think I've still seen that as a thing. But if you get any emails or anything and somebody saying that they're going to give you Instagram growth or organic growth, like know that by organic growth, they mean they're going to follow a bunch of people for you and then unfollow them all. The reason that that's not ideal is because you want to have followers who, I'd rather you have 200 followers than have 2,000 that are actually engaged with with what you are doing and rather than like just for vanity metrics. So let's just say, for example, you are, you're trying to switch to educate myself career paths. Okay. So let's just say, hey, Mandy, let's just say you're a chiropractor. All right. And you've bought all these followers. So now you have 10,000 followers. Great. That looks fantastic. I'd rather you have 100 followers that could actually become real patients of yours. And the chances that those 10,000 people even live in your area, or if you're not a brick and mortar, say you're an online service provider, the chances that those people are actually going to be your target audience are very low. And here's why that matters. So think about it from a sheer percentage standpoint. If you have, let's say, hey, Polly, let's say you have 10,000 fake followers and then you have 100 real followers. Say your engagement's 10%. That's really high. It wouldn't be that high. Say your engagement's 10%. That's 1,000 people who aren't, you get 1,000 people and maybe let's say half of those are real. That's 500 people. 50 people who could potentially be your ideal customer. Whereas if you have like 500 followers and all 500 are real and you get a 10% engagement, then 50 of those, I did the math wrong, but you see what I'm saying. 50 of those people are actually, going to be clients of yours. So don't get caught up in the vanity metrics. And remember that comparison is a thief of joy. So you could use your insights and metrics, but don't get obsessed over them. Because let me tell you something, there's going to be times where you follow every single best practice and you're still going to have a post that flops. It happens to me still. I had a post I did this past week and my reach from hashtags was 7. So, but also have posts that I've done literally like 2 weeks ago and my reach from hashtags was almost 6,000. So just know that even when you are doing things right all the time, you're still going to have posts that flop, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a failure. Learn what you got to learn and move on. Don't archive it, whatever. It's fine. I have dubbed what I called the fried egg on toast phenomenon. I know it sounds like I had a stroke, but basically I was noticing this trend that people who got into, let me know if you know like Mary Kay, like network marketing, like let's use Mary Kay as an example because that's a network marketing MLM that's been around forever. It's like if you got in at the ground level at Mary Kay, you are golden. I'm not saying those people don't still have to work hard. They do. But it's a lot harder for a new Mary Kay rep to get to that level to where that original person was, right? And that's kind of how I think about Instagram. The users who were huge years ago can literally get away with posting crap content like a photo of fried egg on toast. These are real stats from a big Instagram influencer. Posted a photo of a fried egg on toast and got 7,755 likes and 238 comments. So that can be super frustrating for people, and my clients tell me all the time. They get super frustrated when they see content like this that gets all this and they're like, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It's just like they were kind of favored by the Instagram gods years ago, and they can get away with, doing a peace sign and Friday vibes in front of like a cool wall and getting like 4,000 likes. So another great thing is that perfectly curated, cohesive feeds aren't the trend in 2020, which is beautiful. I love this. So as Jasmine Star says, I'd rather you have a mediocre selfie than like some super beautiful curated photo because people are craving the real. So let me know if that was helpful and if that maybe shed some light on you. And just so you know, it's really hard. I know there's like a little bit of a lag from what I'm saying and what you're hearing, but it's really hard when you're on this end and you don't know if people are listening and if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So any feedback you can give me in the comments would be fantastic. But yeah, that's kind of been like an aha moment for a lot of my clients. It's like, oh yeah, okay. So mistake number 2, this one, anybody who is in my Facebook group or has been a private client of mine knows this, but I still see so many bios and profiles that are set up incorrectly. Instagram, there are only 2 things. When you go down to the search bar on Instagram, there are only 2 things that are searchable. So if you hit edit profile, those 2 things are going to be your name line and your username line, okay? So you only get 30 characters in the name line, and you want to make it something that people are like going to search. So here, so I'll see a lot of people who, okay, my username is Molly A. Cahill. Then my name line would also just be Molly Cahill. Well, that doesn't really, if people don't know me, they're coming on here searching for Instagram expert, Instagram marketer, whatever. But I do want to caution you that, and this is going to be one of your action items, homework you'll see on the next slide, but I want you to have somebody who is not following you try to find you. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I first started my business, I knew that this was the only line that was searchable. So Molly A. Cahill, that's my username. My name line was marketing and Instagram or something like that. Well, I was teaching my first live workshop, and this is a little over a year ago. And this doctor came up to me and he's like, I can't find you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I can't find you on Instagram. Well, I'm thinking he's spelling my last name incorrectly because a lot of people try to spell it with a K. And I look, and he is not wrong. Because I have this A in my username, if you just typed in Molly Cahill, I was not coming up. I had to do the A because Molly Cahill was taken. So once I added my name back into my name line, then you could find me again. But that just is a lesson learned that you need to have somebody who is not currently following you try to find you. And if y'all need help, like partnering or pairing with a buddy, you can do so in the comments, or I can help you pair with somebody, because you'd be so shocked on how people can't find you. And there are a lot of factors that make you searchable, and a lot of people don't know this. So, for example, I was doing this actually same training for a group of hairstylists last week. It's like a little hairstylist mastermind. And once I followed 2 of the 6 ladies in the mastermind, the other 4 were much more easy to find, because it's kind of like the algorithm knows. It's like it knows who your family and friends are. It's just smart. So, yeah, for what it's worth, if 2 different people search the same search criteria, you're not necessarily going to get the same results. But it's just, like I said, a good rule of thumb to have somebody who's not currently following you, or like even in your sphere at all, try to find you. The other reason this is important, not just for searchability, but when you go to the search bar, and let's just say you're looking for a photographer, this is a before and after of one of my Facebook group members, and she's actually, Jody's my friend, and Tiffany, you know Jody. So before, she had Jody Zaraletta Photography, and then her name line. So see this light gray? That's what's translate to this bold line right here, okay? So if you're just like searching and you're scrolling through, she had Jody Zaraletta Photography, Jody Zaraletta, and that's all you see. Well, I had her change it to Jody Zaraletta Photography, Newborn Baby Family. So that way when you're scrolling, you get a little better idea of what it is that she does. Again, my friend Megan has Favorite Laundry. It's a kids' clothing company. But when you were scrolling through Instagram, all you would have seen is Favorite Laundry Clothing. So I had her change it to Favorite Laundry Children's Clothing. Let me know if these are some aha moments for you. Let me go back too, because I didn't put this on the slides, but your profile picture is super important, because, so like my friend Megan used to have her Favorite Laundry logo. Logos are fine, but only if, like if you have any text in your logo whatsoever, that is not going to translate well on Instagram. You know how on Facebook, you can click somebody's profile photo and it's bigger? You can't do that on Instagram. So you need a profile photo on Instagram that is either a close-up of your face, not a far away, a close-up of your face, or if you do have a logo that's like conducive to being small and still making sense, like that's okay too. Like I think like Target or something like that. Okay. Okay, here's another big thing I see. Okay, so I talked about, this is going to be, like I said, a homework action item for you is this one right here. Have someone who isn't following you try to find you. So you get 150 characters to grab my attention and make me want to hit that follow button. So I want you to pretend, as your litmus test, when you're setting up your profile, I want you to pretend that every single Instagram user just does what you do. So Mandy, I know, let's say you do DIY, like home decor, okay? Let's just pretend that every single Instagram user does exactly what you do. Why do I want to follow you versus all the other people? So you need to be specific, and you need to speak to your ideal reader in the language that he or she uses, and you need to say what problem you're solving for them. I see a lot of like health coaches especially fall into the like, I help women discover their true selves and, learn to love themselves again or something like that. That is not specific enough. You need to tell me, and this is a terrible example, but like, I'm going to help you lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks. Like, I know it's not about the weight loss, but I think you kind of see what I'm saying. Like, you need to be specific in the problem that you are solving for your ideal reader. So for me, I think I've changed it since I've had this. Yeah, but basically I had like, I teach you how to monetize Instagram in less time without obsessing over comments and likes. Time is one huge pain point of all of my clients. So like, do I have to spend all day on this app? No, you do not. So that's why time is in my bio. Almost every single client I have, or every person who I'm like listening to their language in groups or whatever, they're talking about, I'm not getting comments, I'm not getting the likes. So that's why that's like pain point language of my ideal clients, and it's how I'm solving that for them. Okay. So you'll hear people call it like your elevator pitch or whatever. And you want to establish yourself as the expert. Like if you have certain credentials, like say that you have those credentials or whatever it is, it's going to make you stand out. A lot of things like coffee lover or dog mom, while those things are not insignificant, and sometimes, like say, I used to have like Marine wife on my profile. So I actually had people who they were fellow military spouses who wanted to hire me because I'm a military spouse. But when you only have 150 characters of very precious real estate, I don't like to use it for little facts like because you're a coffee lover or a dog mom. Am I going to follow you for that reason? Probably not. If you tell me like you're going to help me solve this pain point I have, then I'm more likely to follow you. So let me know if that makes sense. I think these little small like tidbits about you come out in your story highlights. So like if you love coffee, then you can have a story highlight that's like latte of the day or coffee of the day or something like that. Or if you have a dog that you love, have your dog be, one of your story highlights. And like people still see that as part of your profile. There's no need to use hashtags in your bio in terms of like for searchability. So Tiffany, like you wouldn't use homeschool in your bio for the fact that people might come find you. All that's going to do is, like I said, the only two things that are searchable are that name line and then your username. So you would want to have homeschool somewhere there. But if you use the homeschool hashtag, all that's going to do is like just encourage people to click on that hashtag and see a bunch of homeschool hashtags. Let's see. I've recently taken this off because I've gotten out of doing content creation for clients, but I used to do a lot of content creation, like where I would actually write the Instagram posts for my clients. And so I had a branded hashtag in my bio because people could click on this and see like my writing style and all of that. But like I said, I've since taken it off just because I don't really do that anymore. So if you have a branded hashtags, like if you're a photographer or say you're like a clothing brand and you want to have people tagging you, once they're like you wearing your clothing or whatever, like that's fine. But do keep in mind that only people with public profiles are even going to be able to see that hashtag anyway, or people will be able to see that hashtag. You also want to have a compelling call to action in your bio. So we'll talk about this one link in your bio. Like I have join us. That's actually not that compelling. Have since redone it. I now have and change it up. Like right now mine says free Instagram training and it was pointing to the link for this training. Okay, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on here because I can direct you to all of these, but there are tons of options for the link in your bio. You only get that one link, but there's tons of options of how to maximize that. These are all the different ones. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. Some of them are more geared towards like bloggers who are going to have a different link for every single, say like a recipe, and you want somebody to be able to go to that exact recipe, then you're going to want something more like tap bio or link in profile. Whereas if you're like a service provider and you're just going to be directing people to the same few links over and over, then you can just do like a link tree or something like that. What I have a hidden page built into my website. It's not what I have up right now. I just have my lead page for this training. But usually I use Squarespace, and I just have a hidden page built into my website. So it's good for SEO juice because people are clicking around my website. All right, everybody still with me? Questions so far? Here are some examples of all of the different like link and bio options too, just to kind of show you what they look like. All right. This is one of my favorites, and I see this all the time. Mistake number 3, posting one-dimensional content or not using a headline. Let me tell you what I mean. Here are some examples of some posts I've done. Let me know if you can see this or if it's too small. I think I can make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. All right, so see how you only get 125 characters before the person has to click this more button, okay? So you don't want to just dive in to your caption. You can write the caption and then pick out like the juiciest headline that you can think of and make it literally like a headline, right? Because people can't like search your grid and like search your feed. So when they're scrolling, you need to like kind of give them an example of what that post is going to be about. So these are some of my posts that did really well. Double tap if this is how you're feeling this holiday. This is an old picture of my daughter. This post literally did really well. I got like over 6,000. My reach was over 6,000 on this. And like I said, encouraging people double tap right away. That's that engagement and signaling to the algorithm that you have compelling content. This is probably my favorite example of how to use headlines because I see this one all the time. So, as you see, my headline right here is "This marriage should have never happened." This was for my husband and I's 5-year anniversary. And you'll see so many people who just like would say like "Happy anniversary to my love" or whatever. Sorry, the comments are quiet. I want to make sure y'all can still see me. All right, if y'all could either drop something in the comments, make sure everything's still working okay. Anyway, so the typical thing you'll see is like people would be like, "Happy 5-year anniversary." That's like the first thing you would see, right? Well, that's not something I'm really going to want to click on as much as "This marriage should have never happened." And I go in to tell the story of literally we overcame a lot of craziness. The same thing goes for like holidays. Like, don't start out your post with "Happy St. Patrick's Day." Thank you, Mara. Nobody's going to click on that. If you want to go in to talk about St. Patrick's Day, that's fine, but you need to give like an enticing opening headline. Thank you, Adrian. Hi. Okay. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so this is for a client of mine, and it says, this was my headline for her: "Want to know my number one favorite medication?" And then she goes in to talk about how a plant-based diet can actually, thank you guys, can actually reverse people's type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and whatnot. But if I had just started this post with talking about reversing diabetes, I don't think it would have been as enticing as, like I said, this headline. So, want to know my number one favorite medication? Like, people are going to want to click more. This is another one I did that did really well: "The face I make when I see influential online marketers giving bad Instagram advice." This got a lot of clicks, got a lot of comments. So, like I said, you get around 125 characters. Make it count. Okay, here's where the one-dimensional content and other stuff comes in. Okay, you must provide value in the actual post. You don't have to do this every time. But I'll see this especially with like bloggers where it's like, "New blog post up, link in bio. New blog post up, link in bio." And it's like that fatigues your readers and they're slowly going to either unfollow or stop reading your posts because people go on Instagram because they want to stay on Instagram, right? Like we're scrolling. We don't really want to go off the app. Now, I get that your main goal is to get people off the app and becoming clients of yours. I will say I've closed a lot of clients just via DM on Instagram, so you don't necessarily have to get them off the app. But I'm not saying you have to do this like every single post, but if you're not providing value in the majority of your posts and you're only just directing them to the link in your bio every post, they're going to get tired of that. I know a lot of people are like, let's say you have recipes or whatever, and they're very protective of the recipes and don't want to put them in the actual post. You don't have to do that every time, but there are some times where you need to just provide the recipe in the post because, like I said, that will keep people coming back to you rather than just being like, "Oh, she's just going to direct me to the link in her bio." Niche, like everybody talks about being niche, and yes, you need to pick a niche, but that doesn't mean that your content should be one-dimensional. So I like to use the example of a wedding photographer. And I actually was just working with a wedding photographer a few weeks ago. Instead of every single post being like, "Beautiful bride on, 30A, beautiful bride in Destin. Wasn't this wedding cute? Oh, their love was everlasting." Like, people are going to get tired of that unless you're an actual, like even I feel like brides would get tired of that. You've got to vary it. So maybe do some posts about, "These are my local places if you're in town for a wedding. These are my favorite, here's a makeup artist who gives her favorite tips for how to do your makeup for photography," or "If you have problems smiling naturally, here's some tips." Or do you have an iPhone? Here's the best way to take iPhone photos. Like, you still want to showcase your work, but you want to have you want to have some varying content. So my friend Megan, I don't think I have the stats in here, but my friend Megan, who, back to the children's clothing company, she's like, well, how can I vary my content? And I'm like, well, you sell kids clothing. Let's do a post on how to remove stains from your kids' clothes. Do a post on, all of her clothes are monogrammed that she sells. I'm like, do a post about the various Facebook groups that resell monograms. Did y'all know those exist? If you're not in the South, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. But like, literally, if you have a kid named Logan, there's like Facebook groups for monograms with the name Logan, and like people can go like sell their stuff. I was like, do a post on teaching children to dress themselves independently. So let me know if those examples are resonating with you. But yeah, you really want to vary your content to give some interest. I've come up with 5 generic content pillars, and if you're registered for this, all of you have this in your email. I have a free content planner, and the 5 generic content pillars I think of are personal, sales pitch, testimonial, education, and then inspiring and entertaining. Personal can be anything from actual personal to like coworkers, if you work in an office, or your dog or your whatever, anything personal. Sales pitch, I don't think of a sales pitch as just selling your program. I think a sales pitch can be anything that you are asking the reader to go off the app, like I was talking about in my previous the provide value in the actual post. To me, asking someone to go to the link in your bio, no matter what the purpose, is considered a sales pitch. This is just my opinion. You might disagree. Testimonials and reviews, obviously you know what that means, but if you're not sure what social proof means, social proof is as simple as anytime I'm on a Zoom call with a client, I take like a boomerang and post it. Or anytime I'm preparing client work, I'm recording my computer that I'm working for my client. Or if I'm going to a networking meeting, or even just like screenshots from, I mean, I know that kind of falls into the testimonial review, but that's what social proof is. So I have my friends Mallory and Jessica from 3A Design Studio here. I did they're clients of mine, and they were cracking me up because they were going to do an install for home staging, and they were like, oh, Molly said we better take a boomerang. So like they took a video of them, like a little boomerang of them doing like an install of their home staging, just so people are like, oh, they're legit, they're actually working. Educating, that's pretty self-explanatory. So that's when you're doing your tips, your tricks, you're teaching something. And then inspiring or entertaining, this really just depends on your audience. I'm like a 90% entertaining kind of gal just because I love humor and I like to find the sense of humor in anything. The inspiring piece doesn't usually resonate with me. I'm not one of those who really loves inspirational quotes, but that's just me personally. There are tons of people who do. So you just have to test with what resonates with your audience and know your own audience. Here's a little bonus tip that I wasn't planning on talking about, but it's something I've seen that's trending right now. If you are going to do a quote graphic, there's 2 things that are like super good for the algorithm right now. One, make the quote graphic pretty plain. So don't make it super frilly and branded and fancy, because the more like I don't want to say plain, but like simple it is, the more likely people are to hit that little paper airplane under your post and share it to their stories. Now note that unless you tag someone, so Polly, I know I've shared a lot of your stuff because it's funny. So when I share your posts to my stories, I then have to go tag you again. If I had just shared that like funny dog collar, dog cone one, if I had simply shared that to my stories and not tagged you, you wouldn't have even known I shared it. So when you're looking at your analytics, you might see all these post shares and you're wondering where they came from. It's because I have seen some people who have the feature where you can see who's shared stuff to their stories, but I don't have that feature. You'll have to let me know if y'all have it. But yeah, so you're more likely to have shareable quote graphics if they're not so cliche and generic. Y'all know, if you've heard, a lot of you have heard all of this from me before, like, the carpe diem, or the all of those really cliche, like overly used phrases. I don't want to offend anybody, but another big trend that's happening right now is carousel posts. If you don't know what a carousel post is, that's the ones that just have multiple Instagram posts with multiple photos. You can use up to 10. If you can get people to swipe through all the photos, that is an excellent signal to the algorithm, even if they do nothing else, even if they don't like or comment or whatever. Just the time they take swiping through your carousel of photos is really, really good for the algorithm. So that's why sometimes people will do like the first line swipe for the before, so like before and after, like, and then people can swipe. Or with the quote graphics, one thing I'm seeing people doing now, I said I wouldn't use the C word, but with the pandemic virus that's going around, I've seen a lot of doctors utilize this with stats. So instead of putting the actual stats in the caption, they're doing like 10 slides of stats. So that way people have to slide through each stat to read it all. Like, hey, like here are 10 facts you didn't know about COVID-19. And people are literally have to scroll through each carousel photo, rather than reading it in the caption. So let me know if that makes sense. But that's kind of a fairly like more new approach. And it's something that I'm going to start testing out more. Break up longer posts. Y'all know this. If you see a post that's like this much text, our eyes don't like that. So you need to use line breaks. If you don't know how to use line breaks, if you use any planner like Plan, Planoly, Later, whatever, they will put the line breaks in for you. Or there's a free, Mara could probably drop in the link. If you just Google line break, you have to Google it exactly. Line break generator for Instagram, and the website's like apps, the number 4 life. That'll put in the line break for you. Only use one call to action in your captions. I see this. This is a mistake I see all the time. So if you're asking somebody to go to the link in your bio, you can also then ask them to comment below. Okay? So you have to pick one. So I did a post about this last week, but a lot of social media people will say, hey, look at your analytics and do more of what's doing well. And while I don't disagree with that, it's not the full story. When you have a sales post, a sales type post, you are naturally going to get less comments. And that's a good thing, because you're going to hope that they're actually doing the thing you want them to do, which is likely to go to the link in your bio or send you a DM or whatever. So let me know if you, in the comments, whenever you are selling something, you've seen like less engagement on those posts. That doesn't mean you need to stop doing sales posts, okay? So just let me know. Okay, already talked about this a little, but generic content does not convert unless you're like one of those people from slide 1 who was the, entry-level pink Cadillac Mary Kay woman who can get her way with basically anything. So, some of the super cliche things I see, girl, babe, you see vulnerable post alert, or a caption, like I said, that just says Friday vibes. If you say girl or babe and that's in your vernacular, then I'm not saying don't say that. Like if that's how you talk, but don't just say it to, like, people will know right away if you're being inauthentic. Typically too, like being preachy or like talking down to people, like finger wagging, like doesn't do well. And also just like super generic holiday posts, which I touched on a little bit before. I'm not saying you don't need to post, Happy St. Patrick's Day, but just if you just create a graphic on Canva that says Happy St. Patrick's Day, and then the caption reads, Happy St. Patrick's Day from all of us over here at blah, 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 you've just like wasted a post. So you need to find a way to make that interesting so that people are actually going to want to read it. Like I said, your free content planner is in your email. Okay, I think we're going to power through these last 3 mistakes. Mistake number 4, not using hashtags or using the wrong hashtags. All right, so typically you want to use no more than hashtags that have no more than 500,000 uses. The reason for that is because they get recycled so quickly that it's very unlikely that your post will be seen. Local hashtags are gold. Obviously, I have clients all around the United States, but I still use at least 5 local hashtags like Gulf Breeze, Pensacola, whatever, in every post. Local hashtags are gold. Like I said, you don't just have to be a local service provider to use local hashtags. And they can be super tiny. Like if you have a super little small sub-town. So I was just doing some posts for some realtor clients yesterday. And there's an awesome Interfaith Ministries around here is doing meal deliveries for elementary school kids who are on free and reduced lunch. And I used literally almost 30 local hashtags, and some of them were teeny tiny, like the elementary school, Oriole Beach and Elementary had less than 100 posts, but it's a teeny little niche hashtag that people actually might be looking at. Gone are the days where you can save your hashtags on your phone and just use the same ones over and over and over again. I literally research new hashtags for almost every post. And I mean, I have some that I use almost every time. Like I said, the local ones, the like Instagram marketing, social media, like those types I'll use. But I always try to go research more and have like change up my hashtags. And that's another, see, I told you I could go into like 10 mistakes. You don't have to post every day, because you're probably hearing this and being like, oh my gosh, I have to post 7 days a week and every time I have to look up hashtags. I'd rather you post twice a week and make it, what is beeping at me? Oh, it was my diffuser. I thought my computer was like going off or something. I'd rather you post twice a week and make that be really, really quality content and make sure you've researched the hashtags than to post, 7 days a week and just be like subpar. You can do the hashtags in the caption itself or in the first comment. It does not matter. If you do it in the first comment, make sure you do it right away. So it's timestamped with the post, because if you wait, you might as well not even use them, because it's not gonna work. All right, let me show you how I research. Okay, so you're gonna go to the search bar and type in, so I just did nutrition. So I can't see how many this is because it's followed by someone, but like nutrition coach, that has 1.1 million uses. That's too many. Nutritionist, 2.9 million. Too many. Not a good hashtag. Nutrition tips, this one's good because it's got 498,000 posts, and you see it just kind of keeps going down. Also, this is going to sound super counterintuitive, but misspelled hashtags. So if there's like a, mindfulness. That was one I was looking up last week for a client, mindfulness. And some people spell it differently. And so you can use a misspelled hashtag if it's being used. Entrepreneur is misspelled a lot. So there are a lot of popular hashtags with the misspelled form of entrepreneur. So if you ever see me using misspelled hashtags, I know that I'm doing it, and that's why. So once you type in, so I selected nutrition coach right here. Obviously that wouldn't be a good hashtag to use, but just for this example, I wanted to show you what it looked like. And when I say IG, so then you'll get these cool little suggestions. A lot of times the suggestions are cool. These are just telling you everything that's here. I should have chosen a different example now that I'm looking at this, but a lot of times it'll give you examples that you wouldn't have even thought of. I'll try to think of an example, but sometimes so maybe like intuitive eating or keto or like things you wouldn't even think about. Sometimes they'll come up and you're like, oh, that's a good idea for a hashtag. The thing with these related hashtags though, is you still need to like click them and check on their saturation. I don't have time to get into all of this, but see right here, if you've ever wondered when you use hashtags in your stories where those show up, this is where. And I'll get into that a little more when I talk about stories. All right, everybody with me? Everybody, while we finish the home break, everybody take a deep breath. Think of any questions you have. Okay, mistake number 5, not using your stories. I just took over a client's account. Let me check the stats right now. I normally don't do social media management, but this client has been a client of mine forever, and I'm helping her out. Okay. She used to never post on her stories. Let me tell you just because I want to give you current stats. She used to never post on her stories. So when I took over her account on Tuesday, so today's Saturday, so actually it was Tuesday night. It's really all day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then today's Saturday. So not even 4 full days. I've taken her profile visits from 39 visits in the past 7 days to 103 in 4 days. So she is, almost quadrupled her profile visits in the last 7 days, which is amazing. And a majority of that was just because I've been posting on her stories regularly. Yeah, Polly, I'll have a replay for you. You'll get it emailed after this is over. Thank you for hopping on, though. Anyway, so stories are huge. Stories are so important, guys. They take so much less time than grid posts. And that's why I said I'd rather you post like twice a week and just be on your stories every day. One thing I've been doing with all this madness going around for anybody that's a local business, I've been like sharing local, like for her, she's in Pasadena. So I've been sharing like local places that are doing takeout or online classes or virtual meetings. And using the support local hashtag to try to just, like I said, that's like she's a local business, she's part of the community, and that just breeds reciprocity as well. So stories are huge. Anytime I don't use them, my profile views drop in half. And you can use 1 to 3 visible hashtags max. And you can use, you probably heard that you should hide your hashtags, and I'm going to show you why that's bad advice. You can use your insights to see if the hashtag that you put in your stories is working right here. All you do to get these insights, if you don't know, is view your story, swipe up on it, and you'll see the insights. I get this question a lot. What kind of content should I be posting on like stories versus my grid? And here's the deal with that. I see your questions, so hang on one second. People, when you log into the app, people whose stories you see probably won't be the same as people's grid posts you see. So it's okay to share similar content on your feed and on your stories. Always share your latest post to your stories. You do that by just pressing the paper airplane underneath your grid post. Share it to your stories because, like I said, there's going to be people who don't see. Don't just put new post and expect people to click it. You have to give people a reason to want to click on it. So going back to that example of my client where I said, do you want to know my number one favorite medication? I shared that post to her stories and then did tap this post to read my number one favorite medication. So you have to give people a reason to want to click on it. If you just say new post, unless I know you and like know that everything you put up is gold, I'm not going to click on it. Okay. Let me grab these questions. Is it better when people comment on your post or responding to you inside of someone else's post just as good for the algorithm? What do you mean? Is it better when people comment on your posts or is responding to you inside of someone else's post just as good? Oh, so like Mandy, if you were to comment on one of my posts and someone else replies to you there, is that what you're talking about? Let me know. I'll come back to that question. Anya, hashtagging stories. What's the best practice in that? I was just about to get to that. Perfect timing. So your best practices for hashtags in stories is very different than the feed. You actually do want to use big hashtags in your stories versus small hashtags, and let me show you why. Let me go down here. So this is that nutrition coach example. And this is another reason I'll say don't hide them because literally like I would say 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 stories that get picked up by a hashtag, the hashtag is visible. So there's some big Instagram social media gurus who will tell you to hide the hashtags, but I'm just telling you, I go by like what I see is actually working. And as you see, like this is the story from Nutrition Coach. So remember, let me go back up here. This is where I clicked on the Nutrition Coach story. These are the stories I saw. There were more, but obviously I didn't put them all in here. If you happen to think about it ahead of time, Anya, you can go check that hashtag prior to posting on your stories and see if it has an active story. So say I'm this chick and I'm about to go post this story. I could have gone on first and said, hey, does Nutrition Coach currently have a story running? Yes, they do. Okay, I'm going to use this hashtag. It doesn't guarantee that it's even going to get picked up by that hashtag, but it's just kind of like a good way to check it. Mandy, did you want to tell me the rest of the 7 to 10 frames per 24 hours is considered like the optimal amount, but you need to see what works for your audience. So like, I know Mandy does Good Deal Thursdays. So like, she's obviously probably gonna have more than 7 to 10 frames. because she posts like a lot of good deals for people on Thursdays. And you always want to use, like I said, 3 visible hashtags. I don't do this every time. Like if I'm just posting a cute picture of my daughter or whatever, like I'm not going to do that. But you can mix it up. If you're a local brick and mortar business, you can mix up the actual physical location geotag and the visible hashtag. Let me know if it would be helpful. I don't want to get too far off track, but hi. Let me know if it would be helpful to go show you what I'm talking about. Like, so just how I showed you where you, this is where you show up if your hashtag gets, or your story gets picked up by a hashtag. Very similarly, if I was to type in a city right here and click places, geotags also have a story. So when you're using a geotag in your stories, you actually want to go super small if you can, because I used to think, okay, well, nobody's going to go be searching for, XYZ sushi restaurant, so this isn't going to be good for my reach. But really, that's the opposite. What happens is the geotag algorithm picks up the smaller locations and puts you in a larger location's story. So let's say I use XYZ sushi restaurant in Pensacola, okay? And I use that XYZ sushi as my geotag. Well, then I have the opportunity to get picked up in the Pensacola Pensacola geotag story. That can then in turn get picked up by the Florida geotag story. And that in turn can get picked up in the United States geotag story. Let me know if that makes sense. And if I need to show you an example, I hope it won't mess with my bandwidth. But so see how this is for a client. I'd actually use the Atlanta geotag. I keep saying the wrong one. I used the Atlanta geotag in this story. And it didn't even get picked up in the Atlanta story, but it did get picked up in the Georgia story. So you can see the little difference in the icon there. There's the geotag. There's the hashtag. That's how you know the difference. If you are a local business, it is not redundant to use the same geotag and hashtag. So let's just say you're at Disney World, which I know none of us could be at Disney World right now, but let's just say you're at Disney World and you're at Epcot for business. I mean, you probably wouldn't do this for your family because that's like a safety issue. I mean, hey, my family and I are at Epcot, but if for business purposes, I'm just going to use this example. So let's say you geotag Epcot. So you're like, hey, I'm at Epcot. You could then also use an Epcot hashtags. And those are 2 different places that you would potentially get picked up. Does that make sense? Oh, here's my favorite thing about stories. They don't have to be perfect. You know what? I used to go on Canva and make all these really pretty stories. I don't do it anymore. It's not performing as well. Even big name marketers who are doing like big and have like heavy ad budgets and can afford graphic designers are just doing in-app. That's what I mean by native. In-app, like super native, not fancy. So awesome. Okay. You want your video to be vertical if it's on stories or on IGTV. Some data recently by Verizon said that actually 80, this was 70, but now I read something that said 80% of people watch with no sound. So captioning helps the algorithm. How it helps the algorithm is I have someone I follow who I love. I love her content, but I have saved, I have saved 3 of her posts, 3 of her IGTVs to go back and watch later because I was watching them at a time that I couldn't listen to the sound. So I haven't gone back to watch them. I need to, but had she captioned those videos, I would have taken the time right then to watch. That does 2 things. It increases your watch time and it tells the algorithm that you've got quality content and to perpetuate that video more, like send it to more people to see. So same thing with your stories. If you're not using captions, and for stories, I don't use like full captions. I'll just do like little blurbs, like summarize what I'm saying. If people are just tapping through, that's not as good for the algorithm, right? Because you want them to stop it and read it. I do have this 50% off code. This is for something called Subtitle. Full disclosure, I then get 50% off if you use my code. but it's super easy to caption your videos, super user friendly. I only do this for IGTV. I don't, when I'm in stories, like I just caption in app, like I said, just a summary. Okay. I'm not making fun of anybody. I literally have no idea if anybody watching this has done this before. Emily, is there an app to do simple captions? You can use, so Caption This is an app. It's $2.99. I've just found it's so inaccurate. Maybe it's my southern accent. I don't know, but it doesn't, like, it gets what I say wrong so many times. So normally, and if I really don't want to caption it, so like I did this 21-day cleanse back in January. And so an odd amount of people I didn't think would care actually were following me along on like the cleanse journey. And so like the very first slide, Emily, I would say cleanse, update, next 5 slides. And you know what I mean? Like that way, if people were interested, they could turn the sound on or whatever. But yeah, I just try to give like a really brief, what I'm saying. Okay, so like I said, I'm not making fun of anybody. I literally have no idea if any of you have done this. I just know I have. But I have 2 friends, Lisa and Nichelle, who are national news anchors. And I attended one of their video courses about a year ago. How many of you have seen this? Hey guys, it's Molly. Happy Saturday. I just wanted to pop on and tell you a little bit about, it's like, no, you've already lost me. Like, I'm gone. I've gone on to the next video 5 words ago. So it seems very, very unnatural, but anytime you're doing a video, you need to launch directly into what you're wanting to talk about. It goes back to how I talked about the content and how you want the first line to grab attention. Think about your videos in the same way. So for me, let's say I was making a video on this free training. Be like, if Instagram is frustrating you and you need or if Instagram is frustrating you and you need help knowing what's working and what's not, join me for my free training. That's much more effective than, hey guys, it's Molly. Happy Saturday. I just wanted to hop on and tell you about this free training that I'm having. There's a huge difference in those 2 things. Like I said, I'm not making fun of anybody. I used to do the same thing, and I literally see this all the time, and you've probably seen it as well. Okay, no swipe up, no problem. You can swipe up in your stories if you have 10,000 followers. You can swipe up to an IGTV channel. Did you know that? That is my favorite little hack. So if you have an IGTV video, you can literally add the swipe up function and people can swipe to that video. And the beauty of IGTV is the live links actually work. So when you have, yes, Mandy, I do too. So when you have, if you type a live link in the description box in your IGTV videos, which is like the same as a caption, those links are actually work. They're actually clickable once people are watching you on IGTV. If you don't have swipe up, let me know. I love the chat feature. Everybody has it. It's just one of the stickers. How that works is you just literally tap, hey, do you want my free training that's going on Saturday? Tap chat, tap join chat. So people will join the chat. I can pop the link in, and then anybody who joins that chat will get the link. Or, no, it's not just your pet peeve, Anya. I can't stand it. Or you can use free services like bit.ly. Oops. Went to Bitly, and make a pretty link or a vanity link. So like my friend Jenna, who's an organizational blogger, or she has like a home organization course, she'll be like, hey, I've got a new, blog post up at, roomsneedlove.com/263, like very easy URLs that people can, even though they can't click, it's easy to remember. If y'all want a screenshot right now, feel free, take a second. I'm gonna give everybody a second to screenshot this. These are some story ideas. Like I said, always share your most recent post to your stories. And we're almost done, by the way. I know we're almost at an hour. You know what I love to do? I love to follow hashtags. So like I follow a mom memes hashtag and like whatever. And that's how I find a lot of the funny stuff that I share on my stories. Okay. This I saved for last. If you do every other thing I've told you, it means nothing if you don't do this, number 6. In the email, you would have gotten an email from me with an engagement checklist. We made it clickable, so you can literally pull it up on your computer and, your brain releases dopamine when you check things off a box. this is what will really, 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 really grow your account. Who's seen the Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. It didn't work that way with Instagram. Instagram is not the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they won't come. Maybe not. Hashtags might make them come if they have like a really good, like I said, you got a good photo, you got a good attention-grabbing headline. But outwardly engaging is so important. If you don't know what that means, it literally just means like you can't just log on, post your post, log off, and expect to log back on 2 hours later and have a gazillion comments, right? Because you're not like at the party. It'd be like you go into a networking event to try to grow your business, okay? And you just stand against the wall the whole time. And you like maybe are holding up a sign or something, or you have like a name tag maybe. Like some people kind of see you, but like you need to be out, like actually bringing them in to your world. I do this in a lot of ways. My engagement checklist literally takes you through step by step how to do it. Watching people's stories and commenting on them and DMing people. Voice DMs are my absolute favorite. I'm the world's biggest extrovert, so that doesn't scare me, but I know a lot of people are like, holy crap, I don't want to do that. So just even going and commenting. One often very overlooked tactic, and this is kind of back to what Mandy was asking, actually. Let me go back to your comment. Oh, Mandy, I'm not sure the answer to that, actually. It's a good question. Probably not, because the algorithm works with your content. So it's probably going to only work like if people are commenting on your content, if that makes sense. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So let's say that your ideal client or customer or patient is likely somebody who is a private account, like a private Instagram account, right? So it's not as easy to go out and be outwardly. So let's say you're a maternity photographer. It's kind of creepy. You're not going to be going around to like pregnant women's pictures and like who have private accounts and being like, hey girl. But some other things you can do to make that like not feel weird is you can go to like a complimentary account. So like, let's say something else that, say like a mom blog or something like that. And you can be interacting with these people within the comment section of someone else's post. And just for the sake of time, I'm not going to get into each little thing, but all of this is in the engagement checklist that you got, okay? If it still doesn't make sense, you can Google reverse hashtagging or the $80 method. $80 method is what Gary Vee dubbed, where he goes to the top, you leave your 2 cents on 10 posts, something or another. Anyway, I don't like his method as much because he tells you to use the, so like, let's look, going back to that nutrition coach. So say I was going to go, my ideal client is likely going to be somewhere in that nutrition coach hashtag. I don't like clicking on that hashtag and then going to the top posts. I like going over to where it says recent posts, because if you go to the top posts, those are top for a reason, which means they likely already got a ton of comments and likes, which means they're not going to notice your comment as much. It's not going to make as big of an impact. Whereas if you go to the recent tab of posts that just use that hashtag, then those people are A, probably still online, and B, don't have as many comments, and so yours is more likely to stand out, therefore bringing them back to your profile. So, yeah. One huge change, like if you ever see these before and after stats that I post on my stories from clients, usually it's from this engagement checklist. So if you've gotten nothing else out of what I've said today, you download that engagement checklist and check out off the boxes. Please DM me or tag me when you're using it. I genuinely love seeing all of this. So I want to go ahead and open it up for questions. And since there's a little bit of a lag, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I'm opening up Mara, if you could drop in the link, you can just do the PayPal link, Mara, for the 7-day, $7 trial to my members only Facebook group. It's called Make Money on Instagram with me. A couple of you on here are already in my group, so thank you so much for, a lot of you have been in it from the beginning, but I'm doing a 7-day, $7 trial for anybody who signs up for the group for the remainder of quarantine apocalypse. And then it's going to be back going to the $19 a month, the normal rate. So 7 day, $7 trial. we have so many more in-depth trainings. Like if you want a more in-depth training on stories or IGTV or how to make Instagram the top of your funnel or whatever, all of that lives in the group. But probably my favorite part about the group is the community. We have support threads every day where we help each other with, commenting on posts if they need it. This is not like a comment pod. It's very different because it's different people participating every day. We have other types of support threads where it's like we share each other's stuff on our stories. It's where we come for questions. I have a whole hashtag vault in there of pre-researched hashtags. I've done all the heavy lifting for you from like a few screens before. People request what hashtags they want added to the hashtag vault. I go research them and add them every week. So there's tons of hashtags that you can just use ready to use at your fingertips. And yeah, we just, like I said, it's a lot of fun. So I've got a 7-day, $7 trial. I'm going to have Mara, like I said, pop that link in. If she can't find it real fast, I'm going to have to go get it. So Mandy, you said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, so Mandy, your question was, I think I know your answer, but how do you feel about follow trains? I personally don't like follow trains or follow loops. Or some of you might see this, like you'll see somebody's post for 24 hours as like mega event or something like that. I don't like that only because that, again, is just inflating a number. Like, I want people to follow me who want to follow me. I don't want somebody to follow me because they have to. Does that make sense? Because if they're not ultimately interacting with your content, then they're just bringing your engagement numbers down. So, and they're never going to be an actual paying client or patient or customer. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to be there to make you look like you have more followers. I wish that I could say that people still don't put weight in the amount of followers that you have. I mean, most people know that it doesn't mean any, like, I don't ever go look at people's follower numbers, like, just because I guess I know that those can be bought. Those can be grown artificially. I have a friend who's like really into, like, she does a lot of influencer marketing, and she's like, we can see, like, we can go to your profile and see. And micro influencers are like all the rage in 2020, which are people who have like less, like fewer followers. I can't remember the exact terminology, but anyway, so that's a long answer to that. So yeah, like I said, if I'd love to extend, like I said, $7-day, $7 trial to everybody. Let me, if you need the link, just leave it in the, how about this? Since we can't get the link up right now, just follow me on Instagram. This is my name down here. Shoot me a DM and I'll get you the link for the $7 7-day trial. I can also email it out. Y'all are all getting an email. I'll send it out with the replay. I'll send an email of the link as well. So I'd love to have you inside the group. Like I said, we have a lot of fun. I'm actually Mandy, I haven't told anybody this yet, but I'm gonna host a virtual coffee next week just for fun, so we can all kind of like get on Zoom together and chat. So thank you all so much for jumping on. I'm sorry I went a little bit over time, but hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any more questions.